On the surface, Keith Urban seems to have it all. With 18 number 1 hits on the hot country charts, 4 Grammy Awards, and over 20 million albums sold, his career shines as bright as any Nashville legend. Add to that his role as a judge on some of the world's biggest talent shows and his marriage to Hollywood icon Nicole Kidman, together raising 2 daughters, and it's easy to assume Keith Urban's life has been nothing short of perfect. But behind the success is a man who has endured hardship, heartbreak, and battles that nearly cost him everything, from a troubled childhood to addiction struggles, personal loss, health scares, and even brushes with death. Keith Urban's journey is one of survival as much as it is of stardom. Let's take a closer look at the tragedies and trials that have shaped the man behind the music. A troubled childhood. Keith Urban was born in New Zealand and raised in Australia, but his early years were far from easy. He grew up in a home clouded by his father's alcoholism. Looking back in a 2016 Rolling Stone interview, Urban admitted, "My dad was an alcoholic, and I grew up in an alcoholic's house. No intimacy." His father, Robert Urban, was not only emotionally distant but also abusive. Keith revealed that physical beatings were part of his childhood, something he struggled to come to terms with as an adult. 10 years ago, I would have said, "He never did anything I didn't deserve." Now I realize it's not about deserving it. And when it came to love and support, his father offered little. Keith recalled, "I don't recall him ever telling me he loved me as a kid. I'd do a gig I thought was fantastic, and the only thing he'd say is, 'When you speak on stage, you've got to slow down.'" As if that weren't enough, tragedy struck when Keith was just 10 years old. His family home burned to the ground. Walking through the charred remains, he remembered thinking, "I was just in here this morning getting ready for school, and now it's just..." That devastation was softened only by the kindness of neighbors who stepped in with clothes, food, and shelter. It was an early lesson for Keith in both loss and community. Addiction and darkness. As an adult, Keith fell into the same destructive cycle that haunted his father: addiction. By the late 1990s, he was abusing cocaine heavily. He described one haunting night in Nashville. "I remember one night crawling around on my hands and knees looking for these little rocks at 5 in the morning, and I was drenched in sweat. It was the worst." The drugs soon led him into depression. In 2016, he admitted there were nights when he didn't believe he'd live to see another day. "I remember thinking, I'm probably not going to make it until tomorrow. And then I thought, I really don't care. It'll be a relief to not have to." Keith checked himself into rehab multiple times, but it wasn't until he met Nicole Kidman that he found the strength to truly change. Just 4 months after their wedding, Kidman staged an intervention. Keith later said, "I was very, very blessed to have Nick call an intervention on me. I didn't give a expletive about anything except turning a corner in my life and doing whatever it took for that." Their love became his anchor, inspiring songs like "The Fighter," a musical testament to his gratitude for Nicole's support. heartbreaking losses. Keith has also endured the pain of losing loved ones. In 2014, Nicole's father, Dr. Anthony Kidman, died suddenly in Singapore. Only a year later, Keith's own father lost a long battle with cancer. Urban wrote, "His long battle with cancer is now over, and he is finally at peace. My dad's love of country music in America set me on my life's journey and shaped so much of who I am today." Then, in 2021, tragedy struck again when Keith's longtime tour manager, Randy Baja Fletcher, died in a fatal fall while setting up for one of Keith's shows. Keith described him as a man who radiated light, saying, "Once you'd been in the orbit of his light, he'd stay with you forever." Health scares and setbacks. Beyond addiction and loss, Keith has faced health challenges. Twice, his career was halted by vocal problems, including surgery to remove a polyp on his vocal cords in 2011. Unable to speak for weeks, he later expressed his gratitude to the doctor who saved his voice. "When you healed it and fixed it the way you did, I felt my entire spirit and life lift." In 2020, he was even chased by paparazzi to the point of a motorcycle accident while heading to an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting. Thankfully, he walked away unharmed. And if that wasn't enough, natural disasters have also robbed him. His cherished guitar collection was destroyed in a Nashville flood, including a prized Fender Telecaster that he'd bought when he was broke and struggling. Keith admitted, "The fact that they all drowned on my watch just was devastating to me." The price of fame. Even success has carried its share of troubles. In 2014, one of Keith's concerts spiraled into chaos, with dozens hospitalized and over 50 arrested. Shocked, Keith said afterward, "My team and I were horrified to learn of the events. This type of behavior stands in stark contrast to the spirit of our shows." And during the COVID-19 lockdown, Keith confessed he nearly lost his artistic confidence without touring. "I discovered that I derived too much of my artistic confidence from playing live. When those two things got taken out from under me, it affected my center as a creative person." A survivor's story. Keith Urban's story is not one of perfection, but of perseverance. He has faced abuse, addiction, depression, devastating loss, and brushes with death. Yet through it all, he has emerged stronger, a man who channels his pain into music and who openly shares his struggles so others might feel less alone. Today, Keith Urban is more than a country superstar. He is proof that resilience, love, and the courage to confront one's demons can turn tragedy into triumph.